Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we'll be reviewing the Ram Classic because yes, they do still make it. Before we get into this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram here in Sandy for giving me some time with this truck. I'll include a link to the website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 5.7 liter Hemi V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 15 around town and then 20 on the highway, with power outputs being 395 horsepower and then 410 pound-feet of torque. Before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, I think the silver coloration looks really good on the Ram, and especially with all that metallic flake in the paint. Now we've got the previous gen headlights because again it's a classic edition, and this is kind of like a parts bin. It's the Warlock, so you've got the Rebel grille and then you've got the bumper from the Rebel as well. No recovery points though, it looks like, which is interesting. But yeah, it basically looks like a Rebel with the front end of the truck. And then around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 275 by 60 by 20 in the front and over in the rear. This is basically the Bighorn Night Edition wheels. So that's why they're the 5-spoke design. And then you just have the street tires is what I'll call them, because they're not like chunky off-road tires. And then really big fender flare there. You can see the Hemi badge on the side, Ram Classic badge as well. And then this generation of Ram still had the, well, I can't really see it, but it did have the coil suspension. And then here's your full side view with this Ram Warlock. Now taking a look at the key fob, we have our lock and unlock function here and the Ram logo, and that's about it. Popping into the bed, you do have to lower this down yourself the old-fashioned way. No bed liner with this particular truck, but it's easy to add in after the fact. It's like $400 or $500. But other than that, it's a 6.5 foot bed, so that's a nice benefit with this package. And the tailgate's actually really light, so that's a big plus. Got the blacked out Ram logo. You can see the previous gen taillight design, and then you got the dual exhaust tips here at the bottom, of course with the receiver hitch in the center. And then it's cool, this is powder coated, looks nice. And putting it all together, let me guys think about the looks here on this Warlock. Now popping inside is pretty basic with the material use here on the door panel with this truck, but what's not basic are these seats. This actually gets these seats from the new Ram Bighorn, which is cool. And then you got a little bit of storage underneath. Now getting in, you do have to use the grab handle, or at least I do. Gotta pop up a bit. Got pretty good leg room, a little storage pocket. And when I say good, it's a quad cab, so it's not nearly as spacious as a crew cab. And then headroom back here, it's solid. Now taking a look at the front door panel, it's actually soft touch here and down below, which is pretty nice. You got this trim too, which is interesting. All of our window controls, and those front two are automatic. You got your mirror adjustments. Just a quick look at the mirrors. And then payload on this truck, 1,510 pounds. Then here are the front seats again with all the cloth trim, manual adjustments on the side, and then we've got our light controls here as well. Steering wheel is manually adjustable. And yeah, got to stick the key in the ignition. Now taking a look at the steering wheel, there is soft touch trim on it, which has a pretty nice feel to it. We got practical controls like cruise control, your gear limiter, you've got your voice command phone controls, controls for the center as well. Ram logo there in the center too. Mostly analog gauge cluster. We do have the screen there in the center, which we can use to change if it's miles per hour or kilometers per hour. You can see different bits of info too, like the temperature outside. In reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. Pretty solid resolution. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, it is a little touchscreen, which is nice. Got a bunch of physical buttons all around, which also helps out. Gear selector here for the 8-speed. We got our driveline select as well, 2-speed transfer case, 12 volt there. Stability control here with the tow haul mode, and parking sensors, single zone climate, a little bit of storage. This actually has the double glove box, which is nice. So having both lids is cool. Bench seat, so storage on top, nice padding, and then it turns into a seat. No storage underneath though. And then we do have a manual mirror dimmer. So here's our window sticker for this Ram Warlock Classic. Basically, you got the Hemi, which is the most expensive option, top of the standard price. Total MSRP, $53,400. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood, both mirrors, throughout the rest of the rear. And nostalgia. Driving this truck definitely gives me nostalgia for when I was selling trucks myself. And I mean, this is the body style that I spent, I would say, not most of my time, half of my time selling, because the 2019s with the new body style came out pretty soon. But we had the classics too. It's so weird. Like, just think about this for a second. So the 2025 is gonna be in the lot soon. So that means that hypothetically, you can go into a Ram dealership in probably the next month or so, and you can decide if you want to buy the 4th gen, the 5th gen, or the new one looks kind of like a refresh. I don't think I'd call it a 6th gen quite yet. So I'd say a 5.5 gen, all brand new, right? I don't think a manufacturer's ever done anything like that in the past, at least a mainstream manufacturer. It's so strange, but you know, I guess it'll mean that there's a Ram for everyone. So why would you get a classic, right? Let's kind of answer that. Because this truck, in a lot of ways, is obviously not as good as the new 5th gen, because from a suspension standpoint, not as comfortable. The steering isn't quite as good. Even the dial shifter, it's kind of a little bit harsh compared. Like the new one's just smooth. This, not so much. There's a little bit of a click to it, which isn't a bad thing. And then, you know, the interior style as well. So it's like, okay, it's a, you know, again, on the surface you might say it's objectively not as good of a truck compared to the new one. And I think that's a good, you know, observation, but this is one reason. 5.7 Hemi, but the most important thing is this is a non-e-torque 5.7 Hemi. That's the cool thing about the Classic, is it doesn't have the e-torque like the new one. The new one, it now mandates, if you want a 5.7 Hemi, you got to go e-torque. So you get a simplistic, naturally aspirated V8 with no hybrid. So you don't have to worry about that. Fuel economy is not as good, but it's more simplistic. And it sounds good. That's the other thing, is you actually get a little more engine noise in the 4th gen compared to the 5th gen. It seems like there's not as much cabin insulation, which, good to hear the engine. Not necessarily the best for, I guess, you'd say luxury driving, whatever you want to call it. So overall, again, the 5th gen, it's the new truck. It's an improvement compared to this, but this truck is a truck that people buy if they want something that's more simplistic, more reliable, and more affordable, right? Because generally speaking, right, the MSRP is less, but also, you know, it seems like a lot of times the discounts on these are a bit stronger. The lease deals, if they do lease deals on them, those seem to be a bit stronger than the new body style. So it just makes the truck more affordable. So it's like you're spending less money to get a simplistic truck. And you know, again, a lot of people want something like this. Just a smaller cab, big bed, and something that is going to run for a long time. So let me know what you guys think about the Classic Edition. I think it's funny that they're still selling it, but it is a truck that it does make sense in today's market. Ooh, that branch is really low. It does make sense in today's market, where, you know, I've noticed a shift where a lot of people are, because we've dealt with so much technology in vehicles and people are realizing that half the stuff they don't even care about, there's a lot of people that now want to go back to just basic, right? And there's some amenities that I think a lot of you agree with me. There's some amenities that we do like in modern cars, like backup cameras and you know, cameras in general. That's a nice feature to have. Climate controls, right? AC and all that. Power windows. That's another nice feature to have. So there's stuff, but it's not, you know, the crazy stuff like some of the self-driving and the crazy engines with the turbochargers and the hybrids and all the other stuff. It's just a lot of complexity that some people just don't want. Let me know your thoughts.